What would you do if obeying God, literally, got you thrown to the lions? Daniel was the most trustworthy man in the entire empire, so full of integrity, so excellent at his work, that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. And that lit the envy of the other officials. They searched for something, anything, to accuse him, but they found no fault, no corruption, no laziness, nothing. So they said something incredible. We will never find anything against this man, unless it has to do with the law of his God. So they set a trap. They convinced the king to sign a decree. For 30 days, anyone who prays to any god or man other than the king will be thrown into the den of lions. And what did Daniel do when he learned the law was already signed? Listen closely, because this changes everything. The Bible says Daniel went home, went up to his room, opened the windows toward Jerusalem, and got down on his knees to pray, 3 times a day, just as he had always done. Just as always. He didn't hide. He didn't shut the windows. He changed nothing, because his habit with God was stronger than his fear of the king. Of course, they caught him, and the king, who loved Daniel, was distressed all night, but the law couldn't be changed. So they threw Daniel into the lion's den, and they sealed the stone. At dawn, the king ran to the den and cried out in anguish, "Daniel, servant of the living God, was your God able to rescue you from the lions?" And out of the darkness came a voice, alive, calm. "May the king live forever. My God sent his angel, who shut the mouths of the lions, and they have not hurt me. Not a scratch. A whole night among starving lions. And Daniel slept safer in that den than the king did in his palace." Listen to me. Sometimes faithfulness to God will cost you. People will set traps for you, precisely for doing what's right. And you'll have to choose. Shut the windows to protect yourself, or keep kneeling just as always. Daniel wasn't spared from entering the den. He was rescued inside the den. God doesn't always spare you the problem. Often he goes with you into the middle of it and shuts the mouth of whatever came to devour you. Be faithful with your windows open. Keep kneeling just as always. And let God be the one to shut the mouths that opened against you. What if you were told your faith only counts if God rescues you? 3 young men will prove to you that the purest faith is the one that trusts, even if he doesn't rescue you. King Nebuchadnezzar raised a giant statue of gold, and he gave one order to the whole empire. When the music plays, everyone bows down and worships the statue, and whoever doesn't will be thrown into a blazing furnace. Everyone bowed, everyone, except 3, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, 3 young Hebrews who stayed standing while the whole world knelt. The king, furious, had them brought in and gave them one last chance. When the music plays, worship the statue. But if you don't, you'll be thrown into the furnace. And what God will be able to rescue you from my hand? And they answered with one of the bravest lines in the whole Bible. Listen carefully, because it has 3 parts. First, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. Second, if you throw us into the furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us, and he will deliver us from your hand, O king. And third, the part that changes everything. But even if he does not, let it be known, we will not serve your gods, nor worship your statue of gold. But even if he does not, there it is, real faith. They didn't say, God will save us because we deserve it. They said, we know he can. We trust that he will. But even if he doesn't, we still won't kneel. The king, blind with rage, ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter, so hot that the flames killed the soldiers who threw them in, and the 3 fell, bound, into the heart of the fire. But then the king leapt up, pale, and asked, "Didn't we throw 3 men, bound, into the fire? I see 4, unbound, walking in the middle of the flames, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." When they pulled them out, they didn't have a single burn, not a hair singed, no smell of smoke on their clothes, nothing. The only thing the fire burned off of them were the ropes that bound them. Listen closely. God doesn't always take you out of the furnace. Sometimes he steps into the furnace with you. And there, in the middle of the fire, is where you finally walk free. Your "even if he does not" is the highest proof of your faith. To serve him because he is good, not just because it's convenient. To trust that he can. To hope that he will. And to decide in advance that, no matter what, you will not kneel to anything but him. And maybe you'll discover that the fire that came to destroy you was exactly where you were going to walk with him, for the first time, completely free. What if God called you by what you're going to be, while you were still hiding in fear? Israel lived terrified. An enemy people plundered every harvest, and they hid in caves to survive. And there, hiding, threshing wheat in secret inside a winepress so he wouldn't be seen, was a man named Gideon. And then the angel of the Lord appeared, sat down nearby, and said something that made no sense at all. "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Mighty warrior? To a man hiding, scared to death, threshing wheat in secret. God didn't call him by what he was in that moment. He called him by what he was going to be. Gideon answered the way we all answer, with excuses. "Lord, my family is the poorest, and I am the least in my father's house." And God simply replied, "Go in the strength you have, because I will be with you." Gideon, still afraid, gathered an army, 32,000 men. And then God did something that seems insane. He said, "You have too many people. If you win like this, you'll say you saved yourself by your own strength." And he began to shrink the army. First, those who were afraid went home. 10,000 were left. And God said, "Still too many." He took them to the water, reduced them by the way they drank. And in the end, out of 32,000 men, 300 were left. 300 against an army so large, the Bible says they were like locusts, impossible to count. And with those 300, God won, without swords in their hands. At night, each man with a trumpet and a torch hidden inside a clay jar. At the signal, they smashed the jars. The light exploded in the darkness. The trumpets sounded and they shouted. And the enemy, in the chaos and panic, turned on itself and fled. Listen to me. God doesn't call you by the scared version of you hiding today. He calls you by the warrior he already sees in you. Stop arguing with him about how small you are. He already knew your size when he called you. And notice what he did with the army. He made it smaller on purpose. Because sometimes God doesn't take people away from you to weaken you, but so that when you win, you'll know beyond any doubt that it was him. You don't need to be enough. You need to go with the little strength you have, with him at your side. Break the jar. Let your light explode in the darkness. And watch how God does with your 300 what the whole world thought impossible. Shalom Shalom.